time for the Chex Quest HD review for the Nintendo Switch. I was digging deep in the Switch's online catalog when I couldn't believe my eyes. Chex Quest on Switch? Could it be? I got it on sale for only $2, down from a whopping $5. How does it hold up to its cult classic counterpart? Let's find out. Some of you may know that the original Chex Quest on PC was the first FPS I ever played, and probably the first I ever saw. The story is about how evil aliens called flemoids have invaded the planet of Zorch and have imprisoned a squad from the Intergalactic Federation of Snacks. Make sure you eat a hearty breakfast because it's up to you to save them. The original Chex Quest had you playing as Chex Man, however it seems they've given him a name and a squad of his own in this game. All the characters are based on pieces of Chex Mix, and you can choose any to play as, but they're basically the same except for how fast each one moves. Chex Quest is basically Doom with a different coat of paint, and this is the HD version. You'll run around each level finding new weapons and battling flemoids, all the while trying to find the exit of the level. There are armor pickups, such as cans of repellent, Chex and Super Chex armor, as well as health variations, including glasses of water, bowls of fruit and vegetables, and the healthiest option, the supercharged breakfast. When your health is full, you won't be able to pick up bowls of fruits and vegetables, but glasses of water and the supercharged breakfast can increase your health over 100%. Same for the armor, in that regular Chex armor won't give you additional armor if you're already at 100, but repellent cans and the Super Chex armor will increase above the limit. The levels are similar, but they aren't a one-to-one rendition of the original game, and the layouts are different enough to notice if you played the original. I was disappointed at first, and perhaps that's my purist side talking, but I came to appreciate the differences. I played the heck out of the original when I was a kid, and knew basically every secret and path. Here, I had to find the new ones. It's not a bad thing, but if you're like me and expecting to know everything before you start, you won't. The weapons you use aren't really weapons at all. Because the Federation has concluded that conventional weapons don't affect flemoids, they've reconfigured their Zorchers to transport the flemoids back to their own dimension. Remember, since this is a family-friendly version of Doom, the Zorchers don't actually hurt the flemoids, but they still act like the original Doom weapons. Your stock Zorcher is like a handgun, there's a shotgun-like Zorcher, a rapid-fire Zorcher, which is basically the chain gun, and a few others. The funniest weapons are the spoon, which is like a punch, and the super boot spork, the equivalent to the chainsaw. The graphics look okay for a game that isn't taken too seriously. There were a few graphical glitches here and there, but it's kind of to be expected for a game like this. It may look like I'm terrible at the game, but it's because of how sensitive the controls are. You can adjust them with a slider, but when you move from here to here, the difference isn't subtle. You have to gently move the reticle in order to position your aim, but this isn't efficient when you're surrounded by flemoids. Also, it doesn't help that the Zorcher will hit a wall if you're too close to it, even if it looks like you've got a clear sight. In the original game, because there weren't controls to adjust your aim, the Zorchers would auto-lock onto enemies even if they weren't directly in front of you. I almost prefer this cheap method to the aiming controls in this game. Throughout most of the short 5-level campaign, you'll notice that the Flemoid's AI needs some work. In the original, if you shot your Zorcher just once, all enemies in the room would start coming after you. Here, only the ones closest to you react, which is disappointing. Another disappointment was the HUD for your character. In the original, if you got slimed enough, your character's icon would change to reflect how much damage you've taken. Nothing changes in this game though. It may sound trivial, but remember, I can't help but compare it to the original. If this was a standalone game, it wouldn't even be a talking point, and I feel like most who would play this are people who grew up with the original like me. In addition to a name, the developers gave Chex Man and all the characters personalities that are mediocre at best. They went heavy to appeal to a younger audience, but I feel like this was a mistake because, again, I'm pretty sure most people who would play this are only playing for nostalgia's sake. Your character will comment throughout, and I found myself turning off the comments only a few minutes into the first level. The awesome music and sound effects, however, were spot on and stayed true to the original. The HD version comes with 2 other modes, Versus and Co-op. Versus has you and up to 3 other friends duking it out and zorching each other in a 5-minute free-for-all. It's okay, but the levels need to be about 25% larger. Co-op mode is more fun as you and another defend yourselves against wave after wave of flemoids. Remember when I said only the closest flemoids react to you in the main campaign? Well, they need to take a lesson from the enemies in co-op mode, as they will target you as soon as they spawn. The only real downside, and it's a big one, with co-op is that once you get farther into the waves, there's some serious slowdown with the frame rate, which made it almost unplayable. There's only one boss fight, and getting to it is fairly easy, until you reach the final level. The difficulty spikes, and I found myself dying quite a bit. There was a glitch right here that was actually in my favor. This river of slime is supposed to damage me when I walk through it, but nope, it might as well be water. The one and only boss fight was probably the most disappointing thing in the game. In the original, it was a hectic fight with tons of enemies all around. Here, there's a small handful of grunts, and the boss itself was easier to take down than in the original. Chex Quest HD is a nice rendition of the original, but it's only for those who would like to experience an HD remake on the Switch. There are free mods out there that can turn the original into 4K, and free PC sequels are available now. This isn't a bad game, but if you want the best Chex Quest experience, skip this and play the free Superior Original. This game gets a 3 out of 5 with the title of Passable.